It's Christmas time for the Guardians of the Galaxy, and Star-Lord is feeling down. It's up to Mantis, Drax, and Kevin Bacon to save the day. I'm Chris Goodmakers, and here's what you missed in the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special. So it's no secret that James Gunn is getting himself some of that Feige action by crossing the street to the house that Batman built. In professional circles, this is referred to as the Jack Kirby. After bringing DC back from the grimdark edge with the Suicide Squad and Peacemaker, he's been handed the reins to the whole franchise. So naturally, one of his last Marvel hurrahs would have more than a few DC references in it. We get Kevin Bacon's interpretation of Bruce Wayne. There are also quick references to Margot Robbie and John Cena. There is also a quick cameo from Javelin's actor Flula Borg as the bartender. James Gunn is a passionate filmmaker who is very loyal to his friends. That's why he tends to bring them along from film to film. Gunn started out in the more sleazy side of filmmaking with his work at Troma, a production house specializing in the 3 Gs: girls, guns, and gore. The first screenplay he wrote was for the film Tromeo and Juliet, which has a plot that I am incapable of describing on this channel. Naturally, his brother Sean Gunn also had a supporting role. Sean would come along to every film afterwards, now playing Kraglin and Rocket's green-suited stand-in. Come on, you would make your brother do the same thing if it was you. However, James Gunn also picked up Michael Rooker and Nathan Fillion from his directorial debut, Slither, the tale of alien worms that do some pretty nasty stuff until everything explodes. His next feature, Super, was Gunn's first foray into the world of superheroes, with a wrench-wielding Rainn Wilson on a mission from God. The villain of the film was played by a delightfully evil Kevin Bacon, who gets to do some of the best screaming of his career.
This is about I had her, and you didn't.
Bacon reunites with Gunn for the special, and shares more scenes with his Super co-star Sean Gunn. And he doesn't even have to wear the green spandex either. It must be Christmas. The special actually opens with an animated flashback to Peter's childhood. While it's hardly the first time the MCU has dabbled with animation, it's in a very distinctive style. The animated sections are actually done in a style known as rotoscoping. It's the process where live-action footage is drawn over with animation. The very specific style on display in the holiday special is from the 1981 cult film Heavy Metal. I could turn the whole rest of this video into one about that animated anthology, but I'll spare you that indulgence. Unless you want me to. Any takers? Come on, going once? Fine. Well, the rotoscope style of that film gave it a very distinct look that is echoed in the Guardians opening. It's more 80s nostalgia to represent a man culturally stuck in the Reagan era. The animation here, though, is all modern, as it is from an AI-assisted program called Absinthe. Many YouTubers have used this program to great comedic effect. Comedian Joel Haver has a wonderful video on how to use this program yourself. It's much cleaner looking here, however, because Marvel Studios has a much bigger budget than your average YouTuber. Or any budget, for that matter. It seems like storied actor Kevin Bacon can't even get a moment to himself. Despite constantly being 6 degrees of separation from every human being on the planet, he finally gets an evening alone. Settling in, he begins to watch a classic Christmas story. The film on his TV is the 1964 cult film Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. This piece of American schlock history was released and quickly forgotten in its day, but has since become an ironic Christmas tradition for many. Many science fiction and comedy channels would broadcast this movie on Christmas Day. It looks like Kevin is a fan too, which is good because he's about to live the film's plot. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians is the story of Martians kidnapping Father Christmas because they believe he can teach their children the meaning of fun, which is critical to the Martians' survival somehow. Like Santa, Kevin is kidnapped by a pair of space aliens so he can teach everyone the meaning of Christmas, which apparently doesn't involve air holes.
Hey, guys, I'm about to pass out. There's no air in here.
Drax and Mantis find themselves in front of Hollywood landmark, the TCL Chinese Theater. It's an iconic location that has been featured in countless films over the years. It even looks fully repaired from the time an extremis infected vet went critical and blew the plaza up. Like in real life, the theater plaza is filled with cosplaying characters ready to take photos with passing tourists. Also, like in real life, there are people dressed up as MCU characters like Steve and Natasha, which is a little ghoulish considering they're both real people who were officially dead to the public. Naturally, the passing tourists mistake Mantis and Drax as cosplayers too, though they seem confused about who they're supposed to be. One lady exclaims that Drax is the god of war after some pictures. No, she isn't talking about the horn-helmeted Marvel character. She thinks Drax is actually Kratos. I see how you could get them confused with the buff chest, bald head, and red markings. Honestly though, now that that seed's been planted, admit to yourself, Bautista would make an amazing live-action Kratos.
I left my little funny man back in the house.
One of the fun things about a Christmas special is that you get to see what your favorite characters get from each other. It's often revealing to their characters and can be a source of great comedy. The Guardians of the Galaxy is no different. Nebula has a gift for Rocket. She gets Rocket Bucky's arm, which looks to be his newer one. This new Wakandan-built arm was the one he had from Infinity War to Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It probably means that while Drax and Mantis were on Earth during this special, so was Nebula. I haven't seen Wakanda Forever yet, but somebody let me know if there's a scene of Bucky showing up armless to ask for a replacement. Kevin Bacon isn't the only celebrity playing himself in the special. There's also a very brief cameo from his real-life spouse. The Kyra that calls Kevin is his longtime partner, Kyra Sedgwick.
No way, the closer? Oh.
Did you all notice something about the bar Drax and Mantis close out? It was full of good-looking men and had rainbow flags on the wall. Come on, don't make me use that Simpsons clip.
This lesbian bar doesn't have a fire exit.
To paraphrase Electric Six, Mantis wants to take you to the gay bar. It looks like the place is named Yarvos, just off Hollywood Boulevard. It's not hard to find, just look for the giant Kingo Christmas billboard out front. The real show stealer of the special was longtime punching bag Mantis. Since being freed from her genocidal father's grasp, she has learned to be far more assertive. As a result, she takes center stage in a two-hander with the lovable oaf, Drax. What do we owe this sudden prominence? James Gunn. I mean, like, duh, Chris, he wrote it. What I mean to say is the reason Drax and Mantis take on this lead role is because Gunn felt the pair had been far too sidelined in Guardians Volume 2, and especially the Avengers films they appeared in. He wanted to let their respective actors really flex their chops, and they do just that. Hopefully we have more of this dynamic in Volume 3, because a hungover Mantis is my whole mood this Christmas. There's one huge piece of off-screen character development that has happened in between the specials and when we last saw the Guardians. No, it's not Mantis's sudden assertiveness and backbone, or even Rocket and Cosmo's friendship. It's Drax's nipples. Wow, thousands of people just heard me say Drax's nipples. Drax, as he has said before, has sensitive nipples. Ow, my nipples! It's the key reason he is so often shirtless. In fact, when he attended Tony Stark's funeral, it was a huge sign of respect that he wore a black vest. Well, I guess he found out what pasties are because he has a new hoodie vest with a cool Star Trek looking brooch. I imagine the meta reason is because Bautista could use some more protection from the LA weather than just his ripped chest. However, I choose to believe Drax has 2 stripper tassels under that vest. The special introduced us to a few new characters who are now part of the MCU, but none took center stage more than Beezer Mikatikatakalok. Who is Beezer Mikatikatakalok? Well, besides being named Beezer Mikatikatakalok, okay, this has gone far enough. I know it may seem cute, but this is what it looks like behind the scenes. Beezer McTickatalk. Beezer McTickatalk. Oh god. Beezer is a local alien who's taken it upon himself to form Nowhere's first garage band. And for someone who literally just found out what a guitar is, he is pretty great at it. That is because he is played by Rhett Miller, an accomplished solo artist and musician. He's the lead singer of the band Old 97s. And it looks like he's brought them along with him to outer space. Yes, the other members of his band are his actual real-life band. I know what everyone is really here for. The Russian talking dog. When we last saw her, she was held captive as part of the Collector's collection. She was freed by the Power Stone's explosion. Well, she certainly has her freedom, and she's using it to put signage up with her mind. She is also given a voice, played by actress Maria Bakalova. The holiday special makes another big change to Star-Lord's family as well. We already met Star-Lord's father, Ego, played by a very beardy Kurt Russell. Ego, the living planet, was knocking up women all over the galaxy in an attempt to create a being capable of allowing him to spread his power to every corner of the galaxy. That's a change from the comics, where Star-Lord's father is a galactic emperor named Jason. This change continues to have further impact on the MCU because now Mantis is actually Peter's half-sister. She reveals that she wasn't just indentured to Ego, but was actually his offspring. Peter is happy to hear the news because he could have ended up as an only child like his comic counterpart. Plus, it's pretty handy to have a sister who can actively negate people's free will. Probably best to keep her on your side, especially now that she's far more assertive.
Get over the Zognuts!
Drax and Mantis find themselves walking down Hollywood Boulevard and spot some professional cosplayers. I already talked about how Drax is mistaken for Kratos, but now I want to talk about some of the strange implications of these performers. Firstly, we see Jack Sparrow from the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. This means that that film franchise exists within the pop culture of the Earth of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And we are all aware that the House of Mouse exists in the MCU, but Marvel Comics does not. That's the reason the performer Drax threatens isn't a Transformer, but a GoBot. Jim Shooter, who was Marvel's editor-in-chief during the 80s, was the one who came up with the idea of Autobots and Decepticons. He did so when the toy line merged with Marvel on a promotional comic line. The Transformers expanded into an animated series and eventual film franchise. Without Shooter, it looks like the Transformers were usurped in popularity by the GoBots, which is bad news for Drax, as apparently his cousin fell victim to one. Spaceships? Did someone mention spaceships? Good, because it's time to talk about the newest addition to the Guardians fleet, and it sticks to a specific naming convention. The first time we saw Star-Lord, he was cruising around in the Milano, named after actress Alyssa Milano. While she has gone on to bigger roles, Peter Quill probably knows her most from her early work in movies like Commando. You know that's the exact kind of movie Star-Lord watched over and over again as a kid, because it's the exact kind of movie you watched over and over again as a kid. After the ship's destruction, twice, Peter and the gang started flying around in the Benatar. This larger craft made its debut in Infinity War and was last seen carrying the Guardians away from the God of Thunder as fast as they could. Since then, the Guardians must be flush with cash, because after buying Nowhere from the Collector, they had enough left over for the Bowie. That's the name of the newest ship that Drax and Mantis take to Earth. I already talked about the heavy metal inspired animated sequences. However, there's another classic sci-fi reference buried within the final moments of the special. We see that Yondu wasn't all that Grinch-like and actually gave Peter his favorite dual-wielded pistols as a Christmas gift. Peter gave Yondu his very first dash ornament, sparking a continuing hobby for the space pirate. The two share a touching moment as the ship they are on jumps to light speed. The shot and streaking stars are almost exactly taken from one of the more memorable moments in the original Star Wars trilogy. It's a specific homage to the MCU's now sister franchise, which has also recreated that scene in its own entries. Bonus Star Wars fun fact, George Lucas intentionally kept this shot out of any of the prequel films because he wanted to keep that moment fresh for new viewers to the franchise. Who would have expected Lucas to be the one to show restraint when it came to the series? So Groot's been hitting that creatine powder, huh? When we see the lovable tree man, he is looking far more jacked than his young adult self the last time we saw him in Thor: Love and Thunder. This raises questions about the time between that film and this special. It seems like he would need at least a few months to work on his muscle mass and max those delts. From the way the others talk to him and his general attitude, he is still on the young side, but moving past high school and into his college gym rat phase. Why is he bulking up? Well, it could be the time he spent around Thor while he was working off the pounds. Taking inspiration from the God of Thunder may have driven him to freelifting. It could also be some lingering trauma from the way his, father? I'm not really sure. The way the previous Groot gave his life to protect his new family. Or it could be an excuse for Vin Diesel to be able to use his unmodulated voice for the first time since the debut film. No more turning up the pitch for him. It's a bittersweet holiday celebration with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Bitter because we will only see the heroes one more time in the upcoming Volume 3. But sweet because this special offers a rare thing in the MCU. No villains to threaten our heroes, no ominous post-credits teaser to remind us of the pain ahead. Just a nice, wholesome tale of two people wanting to give their friend a nice Christmas. Plus, we still got to see Drax flip a police car.